this is the chart for the scarab lace, and I'm going to work 4 rows of this, or 3 rows of this, so that I can show you the Yarnovers, how to work them, and then this, the central double decrease. And as with the other charts, my odd rows are over here, my even rows are here. Notice that all of the odd rows look like this, and the instruction for them is knit on the right side, purl on the wrong side. So I'm going to put this chart down where I can see it, and I'm going to work the first row. Now in these particular scarves, I've cast on using a long tail cast on, but I'm immediately going to start working on the right side, and that's going to give the cast on edge a bumpy look, which is kind of interesting. So I'm going to knit my first stitch as my chart says, and then I'm going to knit the next stitch because I'm on the right side of the work, and then I'm going to do a yarn over. Now I'm going to get the pattern again so I can show you this. Sorry. What I do next is I do a yarn over and then a knit 2 together. Now this often confuses new knitters, because I'll see this yarn over and it's in a little square that indicates that it should be above a stitch. But this decrease that I'm going to be doing, the SSK, is going to take 2 stitches. So if I work a yarn over above a stitch, which you really can't do, and then I go to do the decrease that takes 2 stitches, I'm going to run out of stitches pretty fast. So what I do instead is I bring my yarn forward, and then I do the next thing in my chart, which is the SSK. This is a yarn over. It is between 2 stitches. It is not a stitch itself until I work it on the next row. I'm going to do an SSK, and then the next thing in my chart is to do a knit, and then to do knit 2 together. Oop. And then I have a yarn over. Now for 99.999% of the lace I've ever done, for every yarn over there is a decrease so that your stitch count stays the same. That's not always the case. So I've done my knit 2 together, I've done my yarn over, I do a knit stitch, I do another yarn over, and I'm going to SSK. And I'm going to repeat my pattern. So the yarn over, remember, it is not above a stitch, it is between 2 stitches, and it is not until the next row that it becomes an official stitch. Oops, split my stitch there. Eek. And by the way, this is not the yarn I used for this particular pattern. This is scarab lace, and I used the blue iridescent yarn for it. Okay, and the first row is always kind of a little tough because the cast on is a bit tight. All right, now my next row, and most rows in lace are just to purl the next row. So I'm going to knit this stitch because I'm knitting all of my edge stitches, and I'm just going to purl across. Purl, 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 purl. And you can see now those yarn overs have become a stitch. They were between, but they have taken the place of one of those decreased stitches. And that's what makes lace lace, is the yarn overs. So I'm busily knitting along, and the next thing I have in my chart on this row, and I'm going to knit that last stitch so it provides kind of like a little edge. And in my chart, if I look at it again and I don't hold it upside down, I have these symbols for a double decrease, central double decrease. And what that means is I'm going to be, well, let me get this back here again, I'm going to be decreasing 2 stitches at once. And so I'm going to be working with 3 stitches, and notice on the chart that's a yarn over, the symbol, and a yarn over. It's going to take me 3 stitches to do that. And those yarn overs are going to replace the stitches that I decrease. So let's work on the chart. Checking my chart, 1, 2, and now I'm at the places where I'm going to do the decreases. I have these 3 stitches. Now to do one more. Sorry. To do these 3 stitches, to do a double decrease, I transfer these 2 stitches together as if I'm going to knit them together to my right needle, but I don't knit them together. I then knit the 3rd stitch, and then I pass these 2 stitches over. And it's important that you treat those 2 stitches as one unit, because what that does is it places the center stitch on top of the 2 stitches on the side, and it gives a very nice effect. Yarn over, and now I'm going to work to the next one to do just one more. Oops, got a little enthusiastic. There are my 3 stitches. I'm going to do my yarn over. I'm going to work those 2 stitches together, slip them over to my right needle, sorry. Work the next stitch and pass those 2 guys over. And there we go. And I think there's just one more on this row. So yarn over, knit 2, no, don't knit 2 together, slip them off, and then work that next stitch. And I'm going to do something to help you out a little bit here too. What if I forget a yarn over? Let's say I just go here and I've forgotten my yarn over. What you can do, when I'm working with lace, particularly if it's something like this, I count my stitches every row to make sure until I can actually recognize. Now if I look at this and I compare it, I've got a yarn over on either side of that. I don't have one here. What I can do, I don't need to undo it, is I just work to the place where the yarn over would have been, and I lift this up, and then I work it, and we're okay. Oh, my daughter just walked in. Bye-bye. There you go.